Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jim Chu in San Francisco, California, and welcome to The Nest. It's May 7, 2020, and we are streaming live with participants from Africa, Europe, North America, and apparently Asia as well. For those of you who are here for the first time, our goal here is to connect entrepreneurs in frontier markets with angel investors worldwide. Today, we have three very inspiring entrepreneurs with transformative businesses from Francophone West Africa. And last week, we had folks from Bangladesh and from Kenya. We also have three new business angels with lots of investment and operating experience in Sub-Saharan Africa. So personally, I'm very excited about today's show. And on that note, let's get going. So first of all, let me introduce myself a little bit more and my company. I run a company called Untapped, and we support entrepreneurship through asset financing. We try to help entrepreneurs start their businesses or scale their businesses by providing some technology-enabled asset financing offers. So our motive here with The Nest is to find, identify, and help promising entrepreneurs so that we can help them scale their businesses. We have offices throughout the world in Sub-Saharan Africa and in North America, in the Caribbean, and in Europe. Myself, I invest all around the world and also run Untapped as a social business. Prior to that, I was mostly in the tech industry. And over the last few years, I've been very fortunate and very excited to meet a tremendous number of great entrepreneurs from around the world. And I hope through The Nest and through other forums, we can do that. So on that note, off to the angels. Vishal, would you like to kick it off?
Oh, Jim, thank you. My name is Vishal. I'm an active angel. I run a diversified holding company called Full Circle. I invest in venture deals, some commercial real estate, and I have growing late career interest in hospitality. In my former life, I served as I'd like to believe, career PwC guy. I was a PwC partner, deals leader for the longest time, which is how I've known Raj for perhaps 15 years now. He and I used to do a lot of business together. Subsequent to that, and most recently, I had a senior role at General Electric. I ran development and investment across Africa. Delighted to be here. I know a lot of you. I definitely know the angels. They're my brothers in crime. And thank you for the invite, Jim.
Great. Next to Raj.
Hi, everybody. This is Raj. I'm sitting in London at the moment. I was born and grew up in Malaysia. Have spent the last 30 or so years living and working in England. My day job, I'm a lawyer at a firm called Dentons, which claims to be the largest firm in the world, but who knows? Depends on how you're counting it. And then my sort of evening job is an investor, angel investor, mentor, advisor, probably invested in about 30 different companies ranging from seed to Series A and a small amount of growth capital. Known Vishal and also Zach who's got the third angel for some time now. We're doing lots of things together. Delighted to be here. I think it's a great initiative, Jim. So thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more from the entrepreneurs today.
Great. And I hear you're quite active as an angel. How many investments have you made as an angel?
So I think personally, directly, I've made about 20, but I think with a fund that I'm involved, which has about 6, and then with Startup Bootcamp, which has about 30. So it probably brings it up to probably about 50s, in the 50s.
Great. Wow. Thanks for being here. Zach? Oh, you're on mute, Zach.
Hey guys, thank you, Jim, and thank you, Max, and thank you everyone at Nest for organizing this. So just very briefly, my name is Zach George. I am the co-founder and chief investment officer of one of the largest accelerators in the world, Startup Bootcamp. and also work as a principal at NetBank Venture Capital, one of the top VC firms on the African continent. I've just launched a Pan-African seed fund called Launch Africa, which focuses on early stage investments across the continent. Similar to Raj and Vishal, I'm an active angel investor through the accelerator and in my personal capacity, and I've got a portfolio of 42 companies, almost entirely tech and tech-driven enterprises across the continent. For my sins in my past life, I was an investment banker on Wall Street for two big Wall Street firms, one of whom spectacularly collapsed. So I know a thing or two of even large companies collapsing. So I'm quite familiar with how startups can fail and also how startups can succeed. So there you go. I'm a bit of an acoustic guitarist as well on the side. Just keeps me safe.
So in a future show, would you be able to perform for us? That's
I'd love to,
by the way, as an angel investor.
I'd love to. And Raj is a great singer as well, so we might be able to even do a bit of a duet.
Wow. All right. Well, the bar is very high now. And I'm very excited about your Launch Africa fund as well. I've made a commitment to invest, and I'm very excited about the investment thesis. So I'm very happy that you started that.
Thank you, Jim.
Wonderful. So now on to the entrepreneurs. Now I'll let each of the entrepreneurs introduce themselves, but I'd like to then first of all hand it over to Umar Bas from Yobante Express. Are you here?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Umar Bas from Senegal, a computer science engineer, a PhD in machine learning. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Yobante Express, a marketplace that connects local couriers with local commerce to solve the biggest problems in emerging markets. I mean, domestic, cross-border, and last-mile delivery.
Great. And we'll hear your entire pitch in a second. Alexander, are you here as well?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
So my name is Alex. I'm the founder and the CEO of Digitech Africa Limited, a focused B2B INSURTECH company that helps connect any reinsurance or insurance company to mobile phone subscribers across Africa. And I'm happy to be here and tell you more about my business in a few minutes.
Great. And we also have a dual team from Teleman from Mali. Can you introduce yourselves as well? Are you here?
Hi, yes, we're here. So the full team is not complete yet, but I'm speaking for both of us. So this is Abdoulaye from Teleman in Mali, with Awa, also from Teleman. So I'm the CTO, she's the CEO. And basically, well, Teleman is trying to reinvent motorcycle taxis and making it a profitable activity for drivers and a reasonable activity for governments. So hi.
Great, great. And your partner will be joining you soon, Hawa, and I'm very happy to see a female entrepreneur on the show. And in our LinkedIn conversations, a person named Jessica Francesca Colajo had mentioned that she'd like to see more female entrepreneurs and female panelists on the show. And I wholeheartedly second that. So my challenge to every one of you here in the audience and in the panel is let's find some more female angel investors to come on the show and more entrepreneurs to present their businesses to us. So that's the challenge to everybody. And we highly recommend. All right, so on to the show. Umar, if you're ready to go, I will stop sharing my screen and let you present. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Let me just share my screen. All right. Oh, great. Ready?
All ready. And you have, just as clear on format, you have 5 minutes. We will stop you if you go too far past 5 minutes. And then we will go into Q&A for another 10. And then a further discussion as necessary for any deals.
All right, it's clear. Thank you so much. Delivering packages in Africa is a complete nightmare. The process is expensive, unreliable, and sluggish. In my home country, Senegal, to send a parcel from one city to the next, it can cost up to $40. The parcels are often lost with no trackability and no accountability, and it can take up to 3 days. To solve this, rather than a new technology, we was actually looking at something very old. Ubuntu is a cutting-edge technology that has been around for 5,000 years. Ubuntu Express is a web and mobile platform that connects e-commerce, retailers, businesses, and individuals with independent and casual carriers that will handle deliveries from point to point. To start a journey, a client requests delivery using our app or can go directly to a convenient nearby relay point. Once there, the independent agents packs the item into a Ubuntu branded parcel and attaches a shipping label that contains a unique online tracking barcode. Then a machine learning algorithm determines an optimal route for that parcel all the way to the end destination. A motorbike rider, a passenger, a bus or truck driver will then bring that parcel to the next relay point. And this process iterates over and over until the very last night delivery. At that point, the recipient uses a unique 4-digit PIN code to confirm the receipt of the parcel. This entire marketplace strives through a resilient mesh network of independent agents and casual carriers. Literally, anyone owning a vehicle, anyone traveling in the general direction of the parcel can make money by shipping a parcel. Since we launched in Senegal just 16 months ago, we have already onboarded 250 relay points partners, and we have 300 casual carriers. We're delivering for more than 95 business clients. One of them is Jumia, the Amazon of Africa. Another is Wikari, one of the largest courier services in Senegal. Why would the Amazon of Africa, the largest or the biggest e-commerce company in Africa, entrust their deliveries to Ubuntu? Or why would one of our competitors outsource their deliveries to Ubuntu? Quite simply because Ubuntu is 40% cheaper than existing solutions, and we provide a guaranteed delivery in a single day. On average, we charge $6 per delivery. We pay 50% to the carriers and another 25% to the relay points. We keep the remaining 25% as our income. We automatically insure all parcels up to $10, and we sell supplemental insurance for parcels between $10 and $100. We are currently delivering on average more than 8,000 parcels a month, and we are generating $50,000 a month. In Senegal, we have 7.2 million parcels sent via the formal network. The informal network is estimated to exceed 25 million parcels, and that's just in Senegal. For the rest of Africa, nobody knows how big that market is. You have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of parcels being shipped informally all over the continent, and none of them has been tracked. Since we launched, we also have piloted in South Africa, where we have 150 spaza shops as relay points. We're delivering with 2 parcel delivery companies, Shiwa and Delta in South Africa, where we doing inner city deliveries, and also cross-border to Harare, where we have 1 relay point, and to Gaborone, which is actually in Botswana, where we have 1 relay point as well. We also have 168 relay points in Lagos and 43 relay points in Accra, Ghana. Our team is composed of myself, with 9 years of experience in computer science, and my co-founder with 5 years of experience in career management. We have our CTO, Alun Kase, with 9 years of experience in digital. We have a machine learning expert with 5 years of experience working with Airbus, the French aircraft manufacturing company. We have 21 employees in Senegal. We are currently in an open angel round of $500,000. We have already 338,000 committed, and we have received the money. We're doing a safe. We have a $2,500,000 as a valuation cap. We are closing our discussion with Newtown partner for a $175,000 ticket, and another 50,000 with a VC from Hong Kong. We are looking, for that money to marketing, kiosks, and support our scaling up efforts in South Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana. Come join us in our 5,000 years old overnight success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Umar. Very, very good presentation. Well, let's open it up to Q&A. Start with the angels. Gentlemen?
Shall I go first, guys?
Sure, anybody.
Umar, thank you so much. It's been, I actually saw your video before, and I know of your company, so thank you for that. I have a couple of questions, right? So one was around revenue. You said 50,000, and what's the revenue growth been? So let me give you a few questions, and others can chip in. Second is, how defensible is your business, right? So who's your competition? What's your USP? How defensible is it? I always say, have you got a moat? How big, a moat around your castle? How deep is the moat? How wide is the moat? That's the analogy, right? So what's your competition? And then some of the obvious questions like, what's your burn? Where does this 500,000 take you? And what's your ambitions? And then how are you going to other markets? What routes are you going to other markets? So that may be a few different things, but I thought I'll give you a few, and then others, maybe you answer that while others think about those. So I think there are 4 questions there, or maybe 5, I'm not sure.
All right. Should I answer one question per one question, or should I wait for everyone to?
I think I've given you.
When you process, Raj.
Yeah.
All right, it's cool. Well, how deep is the Ubuntu Express model? Is actually we have brought an innovation from what actually people are doing informally since 1,000 years in Africa. People are shipping parcels, for instance, in Senegal, using formal and informal bus drivers. And in South Africa, you have also people who are shipping using like formal and informal bus networks like Shiwa, like Delta. But the problem was like for those companies to process, a single delivery, or for instance, if you take 50 deliveries, they will have to make 15 or 100 phone calls in a day. That completely limit the maximum number of parcels that they can handle in a day. And with your Ubuntu Express, the whole process is simplified. They're still doing what they're doing and charging the same rate that they're charging. And your Ubuntu is making the link and the connection using technology. And how we're doing that? We have our platform, our web and mobile platform. And also we have a support team, which is following the operations every time. And even if there is a problem, they're notified, and we're engaging, making sure that the problem is solved. And to how can we replicate that model is what actually we have been doing since August 2019, because we started to launch our pilots in South Africa from August, where we are running now, and we have like 150 relay points, and we are working with 2 parcel delivery companies, Nigeria as well, where we have more relay points. And Ubuntu actually model different from its technology, from the approach, and unlike the Uber-like models where you have, the truck guy or the driver, which you should connect with, the demand. The problem with that is like, if you have the old-fashioned logistic problem, which is like the full truck problem or the empty truck problem. Like if the truck is not full, you can't negotiate, or you can get the delivery is done quickly, or you can't get a cheaper price. You're bound using those informal networks and connecting it using, bus drivers, using like truck drivers, and even motorbike riders for the passengers to pick up the parcel and bring it to the next relay point is how we differ. And to respond to the next question, I will say how resilient is our model? That was it, the question?
Yeah.
All right. And what we will do with that $50,000? As I said, we're raising this $100,000 for marketing, kiosks, and scale up, because actually what we have doing is, like, if we want to launch our solution in a country, we have first to onboard the basic infrastructure, which is like the resilient independent networks, what we call relay points. And after the relay points, we have to onboard the drivers, the independent casual carriers. We just like using, digital campaigns like Facebook ads, Google ads, and so on. And we will use that money for that. And for brand presence, in every spaza shops, for instance, we will put our brand in front of it to make people know that you can drop off your parcel here, or you can pick it up. And that's how we're going to use that money for marketing, as I say, kiosk, and for supporting our scaling up efforts. And the structure is like, now we have a holding co in Delaware, United States, and we have incorporated locally now in South Africa, Nigeria, and the Ghanaian subsidiary is in process. In Senegal, of course, the entity already existed before. And what we're doing is, like, we're working with local entrepreneurs, which are, if I'm taking the example of, if I'm taking our country manager in Ghana, which is like Isaac Newton, he was a CEO of a startup which had like $28 million exit. And he's like the one who is in charge of, the local operations. Of course, we're doing a profit sharing model with him. And that's pretty much the same with, our country manager in Nigeria and our country manager in South Africa. Yeah.
Okay.
And the last one was what again? The last question?
I think what my last question was, where will that 500,000 take you? It's going to take, how long will it last you, and what's your plan?
Well, yeah, thank you so much for that. We will use, with that $500,000, we will make concretely on our projection 576,000 deliveries, which will bring $3.8 million as revenues in Senegal for 12 months of operation. In Senegal, it's 180,000 deliveries in a year. In Nigeria, it's actually 180. In South Africa, it's lesser, 96,000, and the West in Ghana.
Yeah, sorry. I'll
576,000 deliveries a year.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Michelle, do you want to go, or should I go? It's up to you.
Right, Omar, I enjoyed your presentation. Thank you very much. Therefore, such a crisp presentation. I'm excited to meet you because, as it turns out, I'm an indirect investor in your company. Zach, who is on a panel, has an accelerator called Startup Bootcamp. You're in his portfolio, and I'm an investor in Startup Bootcamp. So I'm delighted to meet you and see you. I'd be very interested in learning more and topping up my investment. But I want to use this opportunity to really talk to you about two things. One, I'd like to understand how your tech is different from the technology that Sendi in Kenya has built. That's kind of one question. And two, I'd like to really use a few minutes to get to know you personally. So for all the participants and for me, would you chat with us a little bit about how you're dealing with employees, customers, your different locations and countries in this time of crisis? What is it that you've done different with this whole COVID crisis? And what is the one thing that you've changed for your business? So I'd like to get to know Omar a little under the whole guise of COVID and what you're doing different.
Well, for us, since, I mean, this crisis, this pandemic has started in Senegal, where we're based, where the core team is based right now. I mean, our deliveries operation has completely doubled. I mean, now we're handling massive bread distribution in Senegal for the government. And we're providing essential delivery services to e-commerces as well, and even to, individuals in Senegal. This is concrete. Not 2 days ago, we have earned a market of handling distribution of 600 tons.
I think Omar's been muted as well. Omar, you're muted.
Oh, okay. It's automatic. Sorry.
Sorry about that. That was there was somebody with their mic on, and we're trying to mute them.
Okay.
Muted Omar. So sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying that we have now the government support, where we're handling the massive bread distribution in Dakar City. I mean, to understand that local context is, you should know that in Senegal, Senegalese consumers are actually everyday consuming breads, and it's a very sensitive matter. And there is a regulation in Senegal that has forbidden to sell bread without respecting the healthy conditions. And that's why they have, with the lockdown and with those shops like spaza shops in Africa, for instance, we have pretty much the same shops in Senegal where people used to sell bread before this crisis. And now it's completely forbidden by the government. And the bread thing was very sensitive, that the government did ask us to propose a solution for that. We did propose, myself, I was running the whole optimization and the logistic model to handle, it's about 8 million bread a day. And it's a massive traffic. I knew that, of course, Yobante could handle it. Per slices, but we decided to take, other independent and other logistic, companies to join our efforts. And that's how we come up with delivering now more than 8,000 breads, in a single week in Senegal. And we have the full support of the government. Even the officials have made, official communication. And from another hand, we have earned 3 years contract with corporations like Philip Morris International, which actually has a massive, employees. It's one of the biggest corporate that is, employing local people in Senegal in here. And we did, with this Ramadan, distribute more than 600 kits in a day for Philip Morris International employees. And we're doing pretty much the same with other corporate companies. And we did earn a public market from a Belgium agency, which is supporting local, farmers in Senegal, where we will deliver in the next 2 days more than 600 tons of onions from points to 5 different cities for 5 different places. And pretty much for us, the situation is shown that your Yobante Express model is pretty much resilient with this situation. And it's completely logical, because if we take the example of China, Chinese consumers automatically switch it to e-logistic solution as soon as the crisis had started. It compared to US, where you only have 18% of consumers that are using on e-commerce platforms and to get deliveries. And I was saying that number, Chinese people already hit that number 3 years ago. With other crises.
Thank you. So thank you, Mayor. We're starting to run out of time, and there's a lot more questions, which is good, because it means people are very interested. I just want to leave the panelists any additional questions you might have before I ask one or two from the audience.
Yeah, the next one was how we different from other logistic solutions like Sandy. And at the very first time, the model is pretty much different because Sandy, they don't have like independent agent as hubs and like they're doing from A point to B point, one career guy. But your Bonte is different because we're not saying, hey, we won't be monopolizing one trucks or one driver from A point to B. We will say, look, people are already moving around. But the problem is to know when, where, who. And with our technology, we're able to know at the real time when and who is going. And we will match doing the junctions using our relay points. And now the parcel can travel not from A point to B, but it can be A, 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4 to 5 maximum hops before reaching the last point. And because people are already moving. Yeah.
We want to see you compete with Cindy. That's a good validation of your model.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
and that's what we're trying to do, because our startup is a little bit younger than them, and we're showing ourselves as we're completely resilient, and we're trying to close that round in order to be fully focused on targeting the other markets. In Senegal, we already, got our position. Now we pretty well respected officials and even logistic companies. Even our competitors are using us now, are outsourcing us because of we're cheaper and we're faster, and it's completely validation for us. And we will do pretty much the same in other markets where we're piloting right now, as soon as we have closed this round.
So there's a question from the audience very quickly, and please, Vishal, Raj, Zach, if you have any other comments or questions, please jump in.
Yeah, sure. Carry on. I've just got two very quick questions, Jim, if that's all right. So, I'm an investor in Ubuntu already, so my question is very specific. One is, of the $6 average cost, you guys are keeping $1.50, 25%, correct? Right.
Exactly.
Now, how does the insurance, the $1.50 in insurance work? Is that also split between all three parties? Or is that just for yourself and the actual premium collector? That's
well,
carrying that.
Interesting question. That supplemental insurance is only for your Bonte Express.
Okay.
Because how did we come up with that? Insurance fees. Because your Bonte was what we're doing actually is like our real added value was like the trackability and the accountability. And we know we're not ourselves delivering. Of course, we have few assets in case of emergencies, and we have invested from the revenues we're making, not from the investment. Few assets only in Senegal, but our model is using independent casual carriers. And we know that what we're doing actually is adding trackability and accountability from that. And out of 96 parcels delivered in Senegal on 2019, only 3 parcels were lost. And that completely shown that our risk was like 0.03%. Yeah. And we were saying to ourselves, hey, we was looking to a innovative reinsurance provider, but in Africa it's very complicated to reshape a reinsurance provider because he has already his line of product. He don't want to like twist to readapt to your model. And we know that, look, we only losing few parcels. Why not doing it in our own? From revenues we're making, from what we're getting from that $6, pretty much we can do a simple calculation. We can exactly know how many parcels we can afford to lose. And based on the value of the parcel, we can refund pretty much with revenues we're making. And now we're saying, look, let's make the money out of that. And that's how we come up with that. And we really wanted to keep the price and the delivery fees very low. That's why we only adding 50.
Yeah, and then just one final question. So basically, you're making what, $3 per transaction, and if you're doing 500,000 deliveries in Senegal, that's quite a lot of money to Ubuntu. So I just wanted to highlight that for everyone. My last and final question: when a relay point receives a notification that a package is available for pickup because of the geographical proximity to where they are, how does your algorithm account for multiple people accepting a parcel? As in, so if you have multiple relay points and all of them say, yes, I'll do it, there's obviously no bidding war because your prices are fixed. So how do you choose the first relay point or the ideal relay point?
Yeah, well, actually, what we're doing is like to give you a little bit of understanding of how it works. Is actually it's like I mean the IP protocol, and if now we're communicating using the IP protocol, we have a lot of different single nodes from out there. I mean, from the networks, and what actually the protocol is doing is like finding, I mean, the best available and optimized work. And that's pretty much the same what we're doing with our algorithms. We have the whole connected relay points, and we have, I mean, independent and casual carriers, we have the GPS, and we have the position. Our algorithm, as soon as the parcels is like, I mean, processed, it will find a optimized route, and it will select the, I mean, the shortest possible way based on the availability, based on the trip, and based on the opening hours of the relay point, because there are a lot of parameters that the algorithm is taking into accountability. And that's how we making it. And if we're selecting the one for the relay points, we're fixing it as soon as we get the maximum. But for the independent casual carriers, 5 of the, I mean, the best carriers will get notification. And the first one that will, I mean, click on it and will be the one who will be in charge and who will be accountable. And he have to do the checking process when he's picking up the parcel. And to the next hop as well, we have different processes. And of course, they have to sign.
We're getting a little short on time. Just 2 more questions that came up a couple of times from folks. Can you repeat your valuation, pre-money valuation again for this round? And what is your current burn?
Well, actually, our pre-money, I mean, our valuation cap is actually $2,500,000.
Okay.
And we're doing pretty much for the money we have raised, we're doing safe. I mean, we have, I mean, 80% discount rate. And our, actually, we are burning, I mean, about $25,000 in a month.
You have revenues of quite a bit of revenues already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What are your current revenues?
Well, the revenues we're making, on average, we're making $50,000
a month.
Of course, without paying the others. We, you know, you should know that we are paying independent carriers, and as I said, 50%, and another 25% to the relay points. I mean, it's completely a communities.
But is that? But what's your?
Everyone. So just to be clear, for everyone, out of the $50,000, they keep $12,500.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Exactly. All right. So I think we need to move on to the next phase, which is thoughts from the angels on investment. Now, Zach, I know your fund has already committed to investing. So really, this is to Vishal and Raj. What's your interest in this?
Well, look, for me, I like it a lot. Omar, I like it. I like the fact that you're not being greedy with valuation this time. I would be very keen to invest. I've got a bit of a conflict here where I am the chairman of Zach's fund's board. So I will only invest once he's done with his process and not before, but I'll invest alongside. So let the fund do its piece, and then I'll invest alongside. But I'm very keen to topping up my investment directly in you. And congratulations, you're building a great product. I'd love to see you in Kenya to see that competition with Sendi, because for me, that would give me a really good sense of both technology and true valuation, because I think Sendi is 20 times the valuation today. So if you could go head on with Sendi, that would mean a lot in my books. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your feedback. Definitely we will plan to go to the Kenyan market. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback.
And you know, again, I think from my perspective, again, I like what you've done. I like the traction you've achieved, and unfortunately, I'm sort of slightly giving you the same message that Vishal has, which is that I'm involved in Zach's fund as well. So, you know, I'd like to continue the conversation. And but you said you didn't need a huge amount left, right? You've had after 500,000, you had quite a lot of commitment already.
Exactly.
What's left available? How much is available is left?
I mean, I will just like take maximum $75,000, and it's. I mean, technically the round is closed. Technically,
Yeah. So there's 75,000 available.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
Let me have a think about that. I need to talk to Zach as well. But I think what you've done is pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Just for everyone's disclosure here, Ubuntu is one of the top companies that Launch Africa will be looking at investing in and participating in your next round, your Series A. So we're definitely looking at if the opportunity is available to come in with a small ticket in your current round.
And Omar, for what it's worth, I just want to quickly say again, you're probably the most reasonable that I've seen in a long time when it comes to a valuation conversation. So thank you for not being greedy.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your feedback.
So I'm not officially on the panel today, but I think this is, again, don't need to repeat what the other angels have said, but I would be very interested in coming in on this angel round and potentially even topping off your current one. So, you know, I do want to, because I have talked to Zach about joining his fund. I want to make sure we coordinate a bit on that, but I'm very keen on coming in, and perhaps between the two of us, between Zach and myself, we can top this off and make this easy for you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your feedback.
All right.
And Jim, I think you know, I think speaking for myself, let's have that conversation together because I'd be interested.
Sounds great. Let's do
that. You have consensus from the angels of this panel.
This is very good. And from the audience, we have actually quite a interesting vote so far. Feel free to vote if you haven't done so already. But so far, we have a good number who are interested in investing in the middle amounts or would invest in the middle amounts, and also a few that would invest over 100,000. So good showing, and we'll leave this poll up for a couple more minutes so that everyone else has a chance to vote. Great. Congratulations, Umar. And finally, if others, and some people have via the chat box indicated their interest in investing as well, how do they get in touch with you in order to potentially do a deal?
Well, for GD, they can reach out to me directly as I'm the one in charge of, this fundraising process. I can share my email. I think you already have my email.
I do, and I'm happy to connect anyone, and we are happy to connect anyone.
Feel free to share with anyone who's interested, who's keen to start a conversation with us.
Sounds good. And, so if you could just put in the chat box your email to make sure that everybody.
All right.
But we will, Maxime and myself and the angels will also actively connect people who are interested to you as well.
Yeah, I'm putting it right away.
And Maxime has asked, and this is a good one, any investment from the audience. And if you're interested, please feel free to jump in. Stephen Deng from California has said that he's going to reach out from DFS Lab. And I'm sure some others will roll in as well. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your presentation.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Omar. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Zach.
All right, our next presenter.
Next one
will be Alexander. Alexander, are you ready to do your presentation and share your screen? Great. And just as a reminder for everybody, if you're not speaking, please do put yourself on mute. It's a courtesy to the presenters and everyone else speaking. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So I'll just start right away. So our vision at Digitech is to become the most distributed INSURTECH platform in Africa and emerging insurance markets. By connecting the industry links all the way from reinsurers, insurers, brokers, and insurees, while allowing our corporate partners to really grow and boosting financial inclusion, we will have accomplished our mission. Translating that mission into action, we find our 5-year objectives metrics, and on top of it, acquiring 35% market share into the B2B InsurTech space within 5 years from now. Indeed, the actual African challenge is huge. 1.2 billion people live on the continent, but less than 5% of them have ever been covered by a formal insurance policy. But in contrast, and at the same time, 960 million of them use a mobile phone on a daily basis, and approximately 500 million of them transact on financial servicing through their phone. The size of the pie of the InsurTech sits at about $5 billion by 2023. And if the current challenge is huge, the opportunity is even gonna grow double by 2050. Anticipating this growth, Digitech has put on the market the first B2B2C intelligent subscription platform that connects any insurance company, either in the life or non-life sector, with any mobile phone subscriber across the continent. And we do this by executing 5 key jobs for them, including knowing your customer and the payments and claims management process. Growing up the ladder into the value chain strategically and connecting even insurance and reinsurance companies even further, we have launched Hyperion, which is the first of its kind B2B pure digital insurance ERP system that helps connect any reinsurance company in Africa with any insurance company while executing the complex full business cycle of the reinsurance business. Behind the scene, we use very powerful technologies such as machine learning algorithms and dynamic and evaluative databases. From a competitive standpoint, Digitech is one of the fewest pure B2B InsurTech players that connects instantly reinsurance and insurance companies by allowing them to venture into the digital space successfully. In contrast, we have chosen not to limit ourselves by symbiotically associating ourselves with a pure single telecom player or take the time to build our pure digital insurance license, especially in the context of Africa. Behind the scenes are very powerful teams. The founding one brings about 45 years of experience in telecom, insurance, reinsurance, strategy and finance with a solid academic background. We are backed up by a solid board, among which you find captains of industry averaging between 20 to 25 years of experience among themselves. Since 2018, we have won multiple distinctions on the African continent, given by institutions such as Startup Bootcamp, AWS. The most recent one being the best InsurTech startup in Africa as voted by FANAF, one of the largest federation of insurance and reinsurance companies in Africa. From a revenue standpoint, we currently operate at about $20,000 on a monthly basis and have accumulated more than $470,000 since 2018. We forecast to reach a landstone of about $7 million by 2023. Maybe behind this early success is our adaptative business model, which allows us now to work right now with the largest reinsurance company and the largest insurance company in the CIMA region, a federation of about 14 African countries. We are currently raising about $1 million, but for the case of Nest tonight, we'd like you to commit to about a safe of $200,000 at a 5 million cap and 20% discount. That will be utilized to improve our technology and enter new geographies. My name is Alex. I'm the CEO and founder of Digitech. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Well, let's pass it on to the angels. Who would like to start first?
I could go if you like.
Please.
Alex, thank you for this. I'm delighted to meet you again. I seem to have an investment in you via my investment startup bootcamp. So I'm delighted to finally get to meet you, albeit by Zoom, as it turns out. I have two quick questions. One, can you again explain the application within reinsurance and how the workflow actually works for a reinsurance company? That's sort of one question. The other question I have is, are you set up for a SaaS model? So would you white label this and would you provide this as a SaaS model? And have you thought about how that works from a revenue standpoint?
Okay, thank you for your question. So from a reinsurance point of view, basically we cover the entire business cycle by connecting the reinsurance to the insurance. So we take care of the premium management. So usually a reinsurance company is going to receive what we call premium slips from an insurance company, and they'll take a portion of it, all right? So we have digitized completely this process. So everything happens like within the platform. The deals happen within the platform. So the platform covers and touches every point, from premiums management, claims management, reporting, payment, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's what Hyperion does. It is really unique of its kind, and currently we are working with the largest reinsurance company in the CEMA region, okay? So from a business perspective, it's completely offered as, I mean, you guessed it. Everything is branded and labeled to the colors and the brand of a particular reinsurance or insurance companies. So we just stand behind the scene managing the entire platform, all right? So the end user, like the reinsurance or the insurance, is going to see only the brand of its own partner. So that's how it works. So we charge an onboarding fee, which is a unique fee for the reinsurance to jump on board, and we charge them an annual license fee that can go up to 30% of the onboarding fee. Does that answer the question?
Vishal? Alex,
That's fine. I got it.
Alex, nice to see you again. I don't know whether you remember or not, but we met in Mauritius. And I think we've kind of stayed in touch. And again, like Vishal, I am indirectly an investor in you through Startup Bootcamp. Alex, one of the things I was looking at, and maybe you can help me understand, is your growth trajectory since you started, right? So, oops, somebody's.
Yeah, we need him.
Yeah, mute him. So maybe you can just help me through your growth trajectory and how quickly you've or what how you've grown over the last how many years, and as that growth has gone, how does that correlate with your burn, right? So. Is there more blue water between your growth and your burn, or is it consistent? I'm just trying to see how quickly you can scale, right?
Okay. So basically, since we started, we've grown actually quite fast, and it is having an impact on our burn rate, right? We are reaching the point where we're having a lot of teams to manage from the technology point of view, because 90% of the teams that we're having are working in technology, are experts in technology. So in terms of the trajectory that we can reach, just to give you some few numbers, we have about 50 reinsurance companies operating currently in Africa. And we are working with just one of them at the moment and in discussion with the top 10 of them, all right? So which means that our SaaS model can grow up to getting up to about 20 to 25 of them, which is going to be roughly around 50% market share. From an insurance point of view, we have about 500 insurance companies currently operating in Africa. So we are working with the largest of them, all right, from Côte d'Ivoire, and are in plans basically to scale up the solution in the next year. So that's how our trajectory growth could look like in the next coming years. And this is what justified the numbers that you've seen in terms of forecast.
I guess what I was trying to understand better is how your cost relates to your growth, right? So if you drew a graph, right, is it consistent between the cost and your growth, or is the growth more than the cost? That's what I was trying to get at.
Usually we'll have very little like fixed cost. We are in the period where basically we need to set up all the platforms, which is a huge fixed cost. So after this huge cost is basically passed, everything is going to be like a variable cost. So to answer your question, the more we scale, actually we'll have a very, very little like amount of fixed cost. Everything is going to be variable. From a gross margin perspective, we should sit at about 50 to 65% gross margin, approximately.
Got it.
Okay.
I just have one very simple question. I think this is for the benefit of all the audience and Angel members here. So I think the one piece of feedback I would give for you from your pitch perspective is I think one of the things that your business does exceptionally well is it helps with distribution, right? So ordinary insurance companies across Africa struggle to get the common man and woman on the street in Cote d'Ivoire access to insurance. They use brokers. So it's word of mouth and it's email marketing, it's TV marketing, it's very archaic. So what Digitech does, from what I could understand, is it helps people to get onboarded and buy trip insurance, short-term insurance from USSD devices on their phones, USSD on their phones. And that's the technology that you're selling to Saham, which is the largest insurance company in West Africa. So you're helping large insurers onboard customers at a fraction of the cost that it costs them to do it themselves. And for that, you charge a software as a service fee, and you charge a huge fee to get it set up, and then a recurring fee that amounts to about $20,000 a month, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that needs to be sort of explained a little better, but just for the benefit of everyone, that's how you intentionally. So getting more insurers just means more accounts, and the marginal cost of you onboarding a new insurer gets lesser and lesser with every single insurer.
I mean, thank you, Zach, for bringing that clarity. Exactly, you pointed right? So we help to cut the cost of getting any new member, right, compared to the normal way that insurance companies are operating, because we cut across everything. There's no paper because everything is completely digitized, and then people can subscribe from the comfort of their home in less than 60 seconds, all right? So we give that technology in the hands of insurance companies, which is accessible through the mobile phone. So for example, in Cote d'Ivoire, we have about 135% mobile phones penetration, which means that pretty much everyone has either one or even two SIMs, all right? So thanks to our technology, the distribution process is now embarked onto the mobile phone, regardless of the access to internet or not.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. There's a great question or comment from the audience from Atman Ali. He says, there is a huge opportunity for this kind of thing on transit cargo reinsurance. Have you looked at this in the COMESA region transit guarantee scheme, the ECOWAS equivalent and the SADC equivalent, to see if you could offer this to them? Do you have a answer to that?
Yeah, to be quite honest, we've been really focused on growing and getting the traction in the CIMA region, which is about a federation of 14 African countries. But definitely that's an opportunity which is worth looking at a little bit further. So I'll connect with the person in the audience and look at that very seriously.
Yeah, I highly recommend connecting with Atman Ali. He also has an intro to offer for a insurance company association. Feel free, Atman, if I'm misrepresenting what you're saying.
No. Yeah, no, thanks, Jim, actually. So I've done a bit of work on this transit insurance. The size of the problem is actually 4% of the internal and external trade within Africa. That's what we're talking about. So it's substantial. There's a product that we are working on under stealth, and it'll be interesting to actually touch base with you to give you some insights on what could be possible for you. A great product. Thank you.
All right, and then one final question from Jan Brumberger is, if I can summarize, what's holding you back currently from growing much, much larger?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, we have chosen to be switched between incumbent insurance and reinsurance companies and the digital space, all right? So we have chosen to play with them and enable them, right? So the more we get corporate customers on board, the more we get corporate accounts on board, the more we can grow, right? And the more they can sell insurance to mobile subscribers, the more we can grow. So our growth is limited to that, right? So we are not an insurance player, so we do not compete with them. We have deliberately chosen not to do so. So we were not gonna take the time to build the brand, but we can connect instantly to any insurance or reinsurance company. And that's what the beauty of the model is, right? Eventually, we want to become the ATM, all right, of the banks, where you don't even know the name of the brands of the ATM, but you use that on a daily basis. So that's basically the trajectory that we have chosen.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, I think it's time to shift to the angels and get their thoughts on what they think about an investment.
Go on. Vishal, go first.
Sorry, Alex. Look, it looks like you're making really good progress. It doesn't seem like the best fit in my portfolio, but I would like to give you a couple of things. I'm very close to the CEO of the largest private sector reinsurer on the continent. If you reach out to me offline, it'll be my pleasure to connect you to him and speak to him and matchmake for you. Also, as it turns out, just last week, there were a couple of kids that came to see me in Kenya whose family had exited many years ago to Saham. So good family, they know each other. And they were trying to actually build, and that's why I asked you the SaaS question, they were trying to actually build a productivity tool that they described as a productivity tool that does some of the stuff that that does some of the things that you're doing. Now, if you have a SaaS model, in any case, I should connect you because they're the revenue paying kind of people that you could do a SaaS model with. And if nothing else, you'll teach them something. They're young. So I'll connect you with both of them. It'll be my pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vishal.
So Alex, listen, again, good to see you here again and great to see you progress. I think from my perspective, it's a no, and I'll tell you why. I feel like your growth trajectory hasn't got to the point where I feel confident that you can grow at the pace that I think you should be able to grow. And I'm not sure why that is, and I think it'd be good to have a little bit more understanding of why that is and what's holding you back. And my sense is that what's holding you back is you need a few more Sahams to give you that platform to grow quickly, right? Because this is not a business that's going to grow organically. It's going to grow by connecting to a few big guys who see the value proposition, do a revenue share, whatever, you plug into their business and off you to the races, right? So I think, and I'm not sure whether that's where you are focusing your attention, but again, maybe, I'm happy to have an offline conversation with you, give you some thoughts on, some private equity groups that I know in Africa who have some insurance companies on their books, who may be able to help you, do that sort of leapfrog, right? Because I feel your trajectory is kind of like this, when I think it should be like this.
Great, thank you. Zach, any comments? I know you're already involved with this company through the startup.
Yeah. No, listen, I think from my side, I mean, I'm a big fan of the business. I think one of the biggest challenges, which is not a bad thing, it's a good thing, is the revenue that Digitech has is not linear. It's a step function. So once they close a large insurer, they get a huge chunk of money. So when they close some, they got $150,000 once off. Sure. When they close Seakery, they got another $200,000. So they have big chunks of business. And to Alex's point, Africa has 500 insurance companies, right? So there's a lot of money to be made. And most insurance companies in Africa have really archaic ERP systems, really shitty. I mean, one of the insurance companies, I won't name them here, still uses DOS as your operating system from the 90s. So there's a huge opportunity for Alex, and no one's doing what you're doing. But the B2B space, as attractive it is, relies entirely on your guile, as in you have to be able to get insurers to digitize their onboarding platforms through you. So I think Vishal's networks with the reinsurance industry, and anyone here that's listening to the panel that has links to the insurance industry in Africa, that's a huge value add. You can easily go from $20,000 to $200,000 in MRR without any difficulty, and you'd be a lot more investable.
Yeah, I think I agree with Max. And actually, someone just sent me a message. The question is, why, if it's such a win-win, why hasn't other insurance companies turned up to get you to that point? And I think maybe, Alex, it'd be worth for you to do some analysis to what you need to, maybe you've done it, what you need to do to get that. And I think that the best way for me, for you to grow your business is for your customers to say, hey, guys, this is a great product. Look, today I got a Revolut card, right? And I tell everybody, this is the best bloody thing that I've ever had, okay? And why is that? I'm not a shareholder, but it gives me so much value when I'm traveling. Okay, now nobody's traveling now, so maybe I'll throw in the bin. But your customers are your best promoters. So if you can get your customer to promote to other insurance companies, say, hey, this is a great product, as long as you're not competing each other, I think that's a win-win for you.
Thank you very much for that, Raj. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, Alex, for the presentation. I'm just going to read really quickly the results of the poll that we have here. So as you can see from the poll results, it was pretty evenly spread out across the different categories. So there's some interest, and I think this is definitely a conversation that I hope through the connections you made here today will help your business grow to other insurance companies. And I will also send you the chat box comment, because there were some folks who made some recommendations and some connections as well through the chat box. Thank you very much, Alex. And we're going to move on to the next presenter. Hawa and Abdullah, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I didn't.
Abdullah, that's fine.
Fabulous. So take it away whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Hawa. I am the CEO and co-founder of Telimon. And Telimon is a startup company on taxi moto riding. And Abdullah is the CTO, and he will do the pitch.
Hi, guys. All right. So what is Telimon? So Telimon is inventing a formal future for motorcycle taxis across the continent. Africans have massively already adopted motor taxis. You guys have already been in many of the countries. You've been to East Africa. You've been to some of the West African countries. Motorcycle taxis are everywhere. And actually companies trying to handle these are also blooming everywhere. So you have more than 8 million of them across the continent in terms of drivers. But this industry is still mostly informal and chaotic. So for passengers, road safety issues, drivers are anonymous and you have high crime rates. For drivers, they're constantly in survival mode. So drivers are clearly not earning enough, and this is really a last gaps kind of job for them. So you have low quality motorcycles, high maintenance costs, no access to financing. And for governments in general, it's uncontrolled problems, and the tax is they're not generating revenue. And we believe that it takes more than just an app or a super app on top of this to fix the problem today. So Telimon is proposing a network of professional and franchise motorcycle taxi drivers. We are striving to bring all the positive sides without the downsides. So trust to the customers, lower the costs for the drivers, and bring access to ownership, and help the government collect tax on this activity. Concretely, this starts with a very studious operations business. So we have a selection process. We provide training for more than 100 hours on motorcycles, on getting to know the motorcycles, on owning their assets. We provide the equipment. So we are doing a sort of pay-as-you-go system for motorcycle taxi drivers. And for governments, well, we bring a formal frame. We collect the taxes on the behalf of these drivers. And on a daily basis, well, we manage all this. So technology, fully homemade, is at the heart of what we're doing. But we're also a hybrid company. So we use this technology as a tool to help us solve these operational issues. So we have the mobile applications to put the drivers and the riders in contact. But we also have tracking devices on the motorcycle so that we are able to provide insurance to the passengers, but also insurance to the bikes. And on a daily basis, we have real-time dashboards, automated scoring for the drivers, and all this set up in a very simple and effective way. Well, how do we make money? Once again, so unlike what everybody is trying to do in clipsing a model that's worked elsewhere to the countries today, we have decided to go with a sort of fixed fee, pay-as-you-go tuition. So in order for a driver to be franchised on the Telimon board, he pays a fixed daily fee, and we take commission on the B2B deliveries and rides that we provide to that driver. How does that work? Well, to give you a simple example, so today our drivers are currently earning 1.5 to 2 times minimum wage. So how is their income split? Well, they pay their fuel and the data and the consumption for the phone. They pay us our daily fee, and they pay back, so around €4 a day to pay back for the motorcycle. So in total, they're paying us €6 a day, and they're earning 3.2, which is once again 1.5 to twice what they would earn on a minimum wage. So what we're doing at Telimon, actually, we are making it easy for financial institutions to grant loans to these drivers. So Telimon is becoming the missing link between all these motorcycle taxi drivers and all these financial institutions that find it difficult to get high quality credit profiles, to have a sustainable daily collection process, to have these assets being tracked, and to do all the due diligence on these drivers. How's that been looking? Well, we started a year and a half, a little bit more ago. The traction has been very strong from the very start. So we've already generated more than 230,000 rides. So that's very big GMV that's been generated. And us on a monthly basis, today we're generating, well, this goes to January, but we're generating revenues of around 25,000 USD. We have a huge customer base starting in Mali. So we have more than 15,000 regular customers that are using the service twice or 3 times on a daily basis. What we're trying to do at Telimon is to foster non-disruptive innovations and to leverage on the existing opportunities to create shared values within these communities, so that this can become a shared value proposition creation between riders, drivers, and governments. So we're creating jobs, we're helping drivers reduce their fuel consumption by providing maintenance and good material. We're giving them access to ownership so that in the long run, they'll be earning 3 times to 4 times more once they finish paying the bike, and providing pricing that's affordable for most population. How do we plan to export our model? Well, it's simple. So currently we have some very strong partners, which are CFAO and Yamaha, who are making the motorcycles we're using. And we estimate based on the commuter base in Mali alone, there's a market value of around 300 million. And within the countries that we've targeted for Q3, Q4 this year, so you have Ghana and Burkina, we believe in total on this West African market alone, there's probably an estimated 9 billion euro annual revenue to be generated. Our goal is to make a profitable business without announcing all these hyper volumes that we see everywhere, and to create sustainable growth. So we plan to reach 20,000 drivers within the next 4 years, and we feel that we are already on our way. What we bring is a unique experience and combination between what we have done, expertise in the motorcycle taxi industry with strong partners, an upgrade on Uber, not just a clone coming from somewhere else, with franchise professionals, not just amateurs with an app which is not really solving the problem, technology as an asset, and a formal business approach. So basically, what we're trying to raise currently is around 500K. We've already secured 400 with Yamaha, IEP, which is a French investing company, and Mercy Corps Ventures. So from the nest, we're asking around 100K. And what will this be used for? Well, to scale on the driver's models, to enter into new markets, and to build on this financial institutions process that we've been developing. And on the customer side, well, to keep our customer base growing and to start entering into the B2B deliveries, because we're starting to get a lot of demand from that end. And finally, well, to scale the technology and to integrate these B2B solutions. Our team, we have a very strong engineering-backed team with diplomas from some of the highest schools in France. So I myself graduated from Centrale Paris and from KU University, and who worked at Rakuten in Japan. Hawa, our CTO, who's a mechanical engineer, and Sheikh, who is leading our fintech and engineering platform. To make this simple, so Télément, we're trying to meet innovation by combining humans and technology to build sustainable jobs in a growing Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. All right, over to the angels.
Go ahead, Raj. You go first.
Guys, yeah, thank you so much.
We feel like we're the only ones that you guys don't know. So so we
yes,
feel like
unfortunately, but don't worry, we'll get to know you well, so don't worry. First of all, thank you for the presentation. You know, Mali is one of those countries that I've been wanting to go for a long time. I'm a big fan of your music. You know, one of my favorite bands is Songhai Blues, and I've seen them times. Yeah, they're great. And you know, I'd love to. And when I was a kid, you know, I grew up in Malaysia, and people used to say, "Look, if you're crazy, go to Timbuktu." And I never knew Timbuktu was a real place, right? And then I find out that Timbuktu is a real place. And again, it's one of the places I want to go. So I'm so glad to meet you guys, and delighted with what you achieved. I guess a few thoughts from me, right? I think the whole ride-sharing space is a really difficult space, number one. I have never invested in a ride-sharing app. I've looked at a few things. I did come close to investing in a business which basically checked the maintenance of cars for Uber riders who wanted to go on Uber. So they basically checked whether the cars were fit to go on Uber. But that's aside. The questions I had, some basic questions, and I'll give you a few so that you can get that going where other people. One was, I wasn't clear what the valuation and how much money you've raised so far and things like that. I think that was not very clear from the presentation, and I apologize if I missed it. Second was something else someone talked about, I think on the chat as well, is, you know, in a COVID age where we're all trying to be socially distant and not wanting to get into a car, never mind on a motorbike, how's that affecting your business, and how's it affecting your plans going forwards? And then the third is a sort of particular question of mine, is how do you KYC your drivers? And I'll tell you a little experience that I've had in Nigeria where I've invested. In fact, Vishal and I are both invested in a company called Smile Identity, and the CEO of Smile told us the story where they were doing, I think it's Go. I can't remember the name of what are the Nigerian?
Max Go.
Pardon?
Max Go.
Max Go.
No, it wasn't Max Go. Anyway, it doesn't matter. One of them, right? Go-Kara. So Go-Kara drivers were basically getting 5-star reviews, and then they were renting their phones to someone else to be the driver. So you thought you were getting a 5-star driver, but in fact, it was his cousin from the village who was a no-star driver. And there were quite a lot of issues around that. And they solved that particular problem by using Smile ID's KYC, phone KYC process, whereby you could actually, you know, every time you did a ride, you had to look at the phone, get your ID validated, and that's when you could pick up a passenger. So those are a few things that I wanted you to talk to us about whilst others come in with other questions.
All right, so I'll take them in order. So in terms of valuation, so on the current, so we're raising a convertible note with a value cap at 2.5 million and a 15% discount. And out of those 500K that I've stated, so we've secured 400K. So split more or less evenly between so Yamaha, IEP, and Mercy Corps Ventures. That's clear on that question. Second question, so COVID. So yes, so COVID has an initial huge impact on the activity because of the social distancing, but it's been a burden, but it's also been an opportunity. So since the COVID has started, we've shifted to doing deliveries, and we've been majorly delivering masks, gels, and groceries. So this is how the business has been able to keep up. And based on that experience, we see that there's a huge market opportunity in terms of deliveries. As Yobante has said it, but we're more A to B, like Sendy for the moment. And we see that there's a huge potential to combine those two. And in the end, we also feel that the super app strategy, it's going to end up coming either way. It's just about who will have a more solid operations backup and who will be able to sustain these growth and to keep building on top of their platform when it comes. So right now, our idea is to keep piling the value proposition to the clients and to build off of the reputation and the values that we've been able to bring so far. So the COVID has had a huge impact, but we've been able to go around that a little bit and to keep our business running. And finally, in terms of, yes?
Sorry, just before you go, so has your revenue dipped as a result of COVID, or is it stable, or is it gone up?
No. So actually, so initially, when it was announced, our revenues dropped by close to 90%.
Wow.
And now we're back up to close to what we were making. So shifting the business wasn't initially planned. So we planned to shift, but a lot slower than what we're doing. But thanks to that, now we feel comfortable and we're just building on top of this to keep recruiting new drivers. So one of the main, well, not issues, but one of the main struggles here in Mali was, unlike many of the countries, motorcycle taxis did not exist. So there's no informal motorcycle taxi business in Mali. So we initiated this, but we feel that's also an advantage, because when we're looking at markets like Benin, like Togo, with the value proposition that we have now, we feel that we have a strong value proposition to these drivers. And so we're very keen on testing that out and seeing how that spreads.
So,
yeah.
So I've got a, yeah. Can you guys hear me? I've got a couple of questions. Yeah. So one of your biggest competitors in Francophone Africa is a company called Gozem. I'm sure you've heard of them. Gozem, right? Because they have operations in Benin and Togo. I'm not sure their presence in Mali yet. Yeah. So they are currently doing a Series A. They've got a lot of traction, and their business model is slightly different to yours. Theirs is a conventional model where it's a percentage of the cost of a ride, versus yours is a fixed fee. So a couple of questions. How do you get across to scale into other Francophone countries? How do you go up against a Gozem? Is your value proposition that the economics to the driver is better, therefore more drivers will sign up for your service versus a Gozem? And if so, how do you scale that? Those are the two questions I have.
All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. So Gozem, they reached out to us a couple of months ago. And one of the main struggles that they were having is, so they had a platform, they had users, but their drivers didn't have good enough bikes. Their bikes would break down. And the drivers, in the end, they're still paying back the bike to somebody, because most of the drivers don't own their bikes. So they have an individual to whom they're paying. So at the end of the day, the driver is not only paying the fixed cost that he's paying to the person to whom the bike belongs, but he's also losing money on each of the rides, because Gozem is taking a certain percentage. So those two combined make it that today a driver, unless he really needs these rides or it's bringing him a little bit of market, has huge incentive to hide his revenues or to not take rides from Gozem, because that way he can optimize his revenues. So we feel that that's the main issue that's faced by Uber, Gozem, and all that. And so we're actually very excited to enter a market with an operator such as Gozem, because that's going to give us a straight hand experience on seeing how our value proposition will make a lot more sense to the drivers and how we can onboard them. And at the end of the day, I mean, for us, based on our model, if a driver is with Telimon and we're helping him finance all this, and he subscribes onto the Gozem platform and it brings him more rides, at the end of the day, if he's still paying us and our numbers are still clear, it's not a problem. But if we bring in more clients, then he has no reason to go to the Gozem, because he doesn't have to get that 22% cost.
Got it. So you're saying someone could finance your bikes through Telimon but still use Gozem, and you'd still make the financing charge.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
So we're kind of a hybrid between a Safe Boda and a Tugende. We really like the Tugende model, because I feel like that's really answering at the heart of the problem. Safe Boda has been
There's a business called Flex Club in South Africa that exclusively provides asset financing to bike riders. I'm happy to put you in touch with them. They just did a day recently, and I'll put you in touch with the guys behind FlexGlow.
Sorry, guys.
Thing that we have, which is very interesting for drivers, is the maintenance service. This is very important because it permits to keep the motorcycle in a good functioning, and this is also very, very important, and we give them these services. So our drivers, they don't have any problem with their motorcycle in case of problems, maintenance problems. This is one of the things that they really, really appreciate here, and why they want to stay with Telimon.
Sorry, thank you very much. You didn't answer my KYC and
the last question. Yeah, because I was cut off.
Yeah.
So the
and
question
by the way,
how,
by the way, before just as a side, that shirt that Maya's wearing, I've got the same shirt, exactly the same.
The shirt that who wore?
That is it Maya? Is it Maya?
Hawa.
Hawa. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I've got the same shirt. I should have. I was going to
Does that mean that you're going to invest?
Although she's wearing a blouse, so I don't know why you have that.
Okay. But don't get smart with me, okay?
Right. We're gonna ask this question after the interview.
We're thinking of going into.
He had a good question. Go ahead.
We're thinking of going into fashion next, so maybe we can talk about that after this call. Yeah, so the driver identification process. So as you said, I think that's an issue that we will clearly encounter, but we provide, so the suit and our drivers are clearly identifiable. And when you book a driver, then normally you get the picture and we count on the users to let us know if there's an issue, but we're also tracking the driving. So by tracking the driving, you can actually detect behavioral change between the person that's on the bike. So with track record, on a couple of weeks of driving, then within an hour or two of driving, you can actually detect that, okay, the driving stance isn't the same, the acceleration isn't the same, the deceleration isn't the same. Then we can contact that person and say, okay, it doesn't seem like, and we can call the phone and we can, so we have ways of being able, and we show this to the drivers. We tell them, okay, so this is your automatic grading. They get the information. We show them how they drive and they get strikes. So when they drive too fast, we get notified. When they brake too fast, we get notified. So just basing this on the technology that we have with the GPS. So it's not related to the phone, because also, yeah, one of the things, the problem with the phone is they turn off their connection, whatever. So we have, because the bikes are being leased by us, we have 100% of the data of the bike movement. So with that information, we're able to detect all this kind of information and use that as a sort of advantage. Because in the end, I mean, they don't want to lose their job. So if we're able to show them that, okay, we're tracking you, we have this information, then we get a little bit of luck.
And in case of accident, for example, we will know it. Most of the time, they don't try to do this kind of thing because we can know it when there is a problem, because we have also a very strong process of treating accidents. And yes, we
have a full liability insurance.
Yes, on motorcycles. So when there is a problem, driver, they have afraid because they don't want to be in trouble. So they for now they don't try to do this kind of things.
Once again, it's a very interesting question that you have, because so right now, I mean, the value proposition at our end for customers and for drivers is very high. And that's also because we're in a market where there aren't that many other competitors and people
competition. Yeah, exactly.
On a 24/7 basis. So the interesting part will be, okay, once we enter one of these markets and we're getting these guys who've been doing it for years and who are used to doing this, are we still able to maintain that high quality that we're trying to propose to the drivers and the clients? So
sure. I mean, I'm happy to connect you with Smile if you're interested in talking to them.
Yeah, we're very, very interested. Yeah.
I can see Tuku writing to him on the chat. So
Tuku is already writing. He writes, Smile and can easily assist with digital KYC on the riders at the point of enrollment. Please contact me, Tuku. So let that happen. Also want to read a comment from Katrina Sheridan from Ireland, and also Sean Durkin from California. I like the quality management built into this business model. And Sean adds to that it'll help win contracts in the B2B and delivery side. Okay, well, very good. Should we move on? Go ahead.
Jim, can I just ask him a couple of things? Look, what was not very clear to me, guys, is do you actually get any piece of the asset financing revenue? So is your revenue model include any of the, so that is one question I have. The other thing, what would be helpful for me, just given some of the stuff Rod said in terms of what's happening in the ride app space, when did you start your company? How much money have you raised in the lifetime of your company? How many rounds have you had? Will you just add some color to that part of it? So two questions. One, on the revenue side, specifically related to asset financing and getting a piece of that, and two, on the lifeline of your capital raises, when did you start, etc.
Yes, perfectly. So on the revenue side, so currently when we started the model, because we weren't able to onboard any financial institution because the business didn't exist, there was no prior, they didn't have any information on us. So we had to substitute for the financial institution. So right now, with the most of our fleet, we are financing it ourselves. So we have financed the bike, and we're getting 100% of the revenue generated from it. But in the mid/long term, the idea is to share this revenue with either a financial institution or an Untapped, or anybody who's sort of new in this business. So what we started doing,
Untapped.
So for individuals, because you have a lot of individuals that are doing this in other countries. Well, our value proposition is to them is, okay, so you want to generate additional revenue, but you don't want to have to handle with the driver and everything. Well, you give that to us. We finance the bike. You get a certain percentage, maybe 7 to 8%. They're happy with that. And so we share that revenue with the people that are ready to finance this. So it's a...
So I'm curious, it sounds like you currently only do operating leases, meaning it's perpetual lease, but do you also do capital leases where the ownership will transfer to the operators at some point?
Oh, no. So actually, currently, the ownership will be transferred. So once they finish paying the asset, the ownership of capital leasing. So the ownership is transferred to the driver. And once that ownership is transferred, then he's not paying back to reimburse the bike anymore. So he's multiplying his revenue.
That was my key question, because that's, in my view, that's for most cases the right way to do it. Okay.
That's where the value generation is coming from. Second question. Yeah. So the second question is how much we've raised. So right now we've raised sort of a seed round, but with a partner, CFO, who financed all the bikes. So it was 400 and 400K, so around 800K. And now we're trying to raise an additional 500K just to get ready for that Series A, because we also feel that before we're able to ramp up, we need to demonstrate that this model also works on an existing market. So our plan was, we'll see how that's changed with the COVID, was to penetrate one of the markets that I mentioned by the end of this year.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you. So any more questions or comments from either the audience or the panels? Okay. So I'd like to open it up for investments discussions. Any thoughts from the panelists?
Let me go first. Look, I have an issue on two fronts, guys. One I would call it the value bucket. So the human aspect of what's happening on our roads across Africa in terms of accidents and pain and the unruly behavior of these border guys, as they're called in East Africa, no real sort of way to figure out if they're being overworked, if they're sleeping before a ride, what they're doing, rape incidents, all of that kind of stuff is a bucket that doesn't sit with me well. Mm. And the second piece of this is I'm a late seed to an AB round investor. And I kind of feel that you've come late to the party. The ride app space is yesterday. And therefore, I feel that my ability to be able to execute to an institution, to an IPO market, to an acquisition is a very scarce opportunity. And for those reasons, I will pass, but wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zach, do you want to go next and I'll go last?
Yeah, Yeah. Softer? Just 1 second. Sorry.
Hang on. Do you want, let me go. Why don't you deal with Indy? Let me go, and then you can come after. Okay. So Zach's dealing with his daughter. Very cute. Listen, guys, I love the energy of both of you, and I thought your presentation was good. I like the model, but I think for some of the reasons Vishal said and some of the other reasons I'm going to give you, that it's a no from me, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, what I've seen in this ride-app space is that you have somebody coming in, and then everyone gets very excited. They're using it, and then suddenly everyone says, well, this is a great market, and someone else comes in and they discount their prices, and everyone starts switching to them, and then someone else comes in, and it's going to become the race to the bottom. So unless you have some unique proposition that will stop that, I think the ride-app market is a market where the guy with the deepest wallet is going to beat everyone else all the time. And that's why Uber has been so successful. They weren't successful in China because Didi has deep pockets, and they had better understanding of the local market. If I see what's happening here in London today, Uber was the champion for a long time, but now you've got Captain, you've got Ola, you've got a bunch of other guys, right? So my kids on their phone, they have 4 different apps. So I think it's a really, really tough market. So unless you've got a USP, and I like the idea that you have where you kind of own the lease bike idea, but even then I feel that can be a very easy replicated model. So for that reason, I really, really hope you succeed, and I wish you all the best. I love what you're doing. I love the energy and all the rest of it, but it's a no for me. But by the way, Harish Aswani, who's on this chat, has said that he's happy to connect with you and help you in Nigeria with your logistics business.
All right. Thank you. Good to hear.
Right. So I have a slightly more experience in this space, having seen GoZem, as I mentioned, from a Series A perspective. I'm also very familiar with Max NG as well as GoCarta, and I'm aware of the regulatory issues. However, I am very bullish on Francophone. Francophone Africa is one of the only spots. So contrary to what other angels may believe, ride sharing in Francophone Africa is where ride sharing in Uganda and Kenya and South Africa were 4 years ago. So from an opportunity perspective, Francophone ride sharing is extremely hot because there are very few players. If your business model was very similar to GoZem's, I would have been a no. That's why I challenged you on that. Your business model allows more drivers to almost disproportionately choose you guys, from what I understand, over the others, because you have a fixed income, and it's not linked to how many rides you do per day, and you provide asset financing. I also know very well Mercy Corp, who's invested in you, and I know the other French investors. So for that reason, I'm definitely going to be investing in your round. I haven't decided the entire amount, but I will be investing in your round.
Great. Fabulous, Zach. Thank you very much for that. And again, I am not on the angel panel today, but from an NTOP perspective, as you probably already figured out, we'd be interested in having a conversation with you about some of the asset financing aspects of it. So let's talk, and let's see if there's something we can do with Untapped and asset financing. Fabulous. Well, great. Harish, I think you just came up. Anything you'd like to say?
No, I was just about to say a few things on the model, right? There's a bit of science involved in doing logistics business, and when you do point-to-point delivery, you have to be very careful about how you structure it. And the second thing that you need to do in any country is the trust of who they're dealing with. So in a country like Nigeria, where a lot of courier companies and a lot of people do not succeed, is because people don't trust a courier company. If there's an exchange of cash, there's an exchange of monetary, it's always who pays first or who receives first. So we took a long time to develop, and what I think today is probably the best point-to-point logistics company in Nigeria. And we have 2,000 trucks that we do point-to-point delivery. And apart from that, we have almost 6,000 delivery vans that we do retail distribution. But this was built over a time period, and this was built on a trust basis that after a while, people came to understand, I trust you, you will deliver me on time. So it's not about who your competition is and who does what. It's a question of how do you build trust in this business. If you manage to do that, clients will come to you and they will pick you. So we grew from a 200 truck per year business to 2,000 trucks and 6,000 retail vehicles, which includes vans, three-wheelers, and includes motorbikes and bicycles. So stick to what you're doing. Don't give up on what you're doing. I think what you have is a good model. Have a good partnership. Focus on it. And don't try and do too many countries at one time. Stick in one country. If you think you're good at it, do it well. Become a leader in that country. Become the #1 player in that country. After that, move out. If you do become a leader in your own country, it's very easy for people to recognize how good you are and how successful you are. But a lot of us entrepreneurs are jumping goats, as I would call it. And we jump goats because we think, we can do everything everywhere and very fast. We don't need to do that. You need to have a good focus, a good plan, a good strategy, a good team behind you, and create your strategies very clear as to what you want to do and how you want to do it. So think about this very carefully. Every bit of money that you get from investors is more expensive than your own money. Remember that, right? Anyone's equity is more costly than taking banks' money. So you have to give them better returns than what they can get from investing somewhere else. So bear that in mind. I like the model. Like I said, I'm happy to give you a helping hand if you want to come to Nigeria in terms of knowledge, in terms of expertise. I don't have to necessarily do business with you, but I'm very encouraged by young entrepreneurs going out there and doing these kind of things. So I wish you good luck, but happy to chat with you more online, offline, and whatever support you need, happy to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you summarized our vision. And just to add a little bit to what he said, it's true that once you're in the VC space, then it becomes different. It feels like building a long-term, long-lasting, sustainable business within these markets, or on a race to who can bolster the hugest numbers on Q2Q so that they can get the bigger investments and eventually maybe lead to the ground. But as he said, I think, yeah, we have a very, very strong belief in our model. We feel that in the long run, no matter how many apps come on, try to onboard these drivers, in the end, you're still going to need this whole financing part, because people aren't going to magically make money, and there's always somebody behind that's financing. And if we're first movers and we're able to sustain this on these different markets, we have a very strong belief that there's a need and that we can build off of this.
Fabulous. Thank you once again. Well, that brings us to a close for this week. I think, well, before we do that, actually, let's talk a little bit about your poll numbers. You had some interesting poll numbers. You had a lot of folks throughout the map with several making high commitments. So congratulations on that. And I think we got some solid advice and solid feedback from the entire audience. Wonderful. Thank you all very, very much. Thanks to the entrepreneurs. Thanks to the panelists. And I hope you can join us next week. And for those entrepreneurs who want to pitch on The Nest, please go to findthenest.org and you can submit a short video presenting your company via WhatsApp. We will review, and hopefully we will see you on this show. Thanks very much, folks. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Arish.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jim.
Guys, cheers.